On March 1, 2017, the Philippine House of Representatives approved the proposal to reinstate the death penalty. It was a controversial law with accusations that the government rushed to approve the law without proper deliberation from those who oppose it and the public. From a long list of crimes punishable with death penalty including government corruption, it was watered down to just penalize people from being involved in illegal drugs. Those who oppose the law point out that it was just passed to strengthen the power of government in its war against illegal drugs, which is one of the top focus of the current administration. Another controversy is that the Philippines is one signatory to the international agreement which bans the imposition of death sentences. Clearly this law will not pass along smoothly. The list of those who proposed and approved the passing of the death penalty law has been posted by many people in different websites to enable people to remember them. It remains to be seen if this will have an effect on them if they run for re-election again. There are punishments better than a death sentence where the victims get real justice. Part 1. This presentation was created by Joseph Russell Timpu Gyson. Criminals are either scared, neutral, defiant, or all of these with regards to death sentences. Scared, of course no one wants to die, and this includes criminals. Neutral, you only die once and people do not usually know how it feels to be dying, and with the absence of this experience people go about their daily lives never thinking about it until they go through near-death experiences, which makes them reassess their lives. There are many people who do very dangerous things like stuntmen and soldiers, for example. They go about their jobs without thinking about death. They may even get injured doing their jobs but still continue on doing their jobs and proceeding through life. Criminals also do dangerous things and are no different. Defiant, there are hardened criminals who have accepted the fact that they could die anytime when they do crimes. They reason it is just one probability or outcome when you do crimes and have accepted it. Their fear of death may be being overshadowed by the material gain they get for doing crimes. They may also be feeling a rush when they do crimes and want to experience it as much as they can in spite of the dangers. They may be feeling all of these and are just surviving. They may be so desperate that all they can think of is surviving from day to day and not thinking or have no time to think about their future, which could be early death. They may have no option but to commit a crime now to just be able to survive and just think about their future later. This is usually the reasoning of those criminals who kill their victims and witnesses and fight to the death with the police or other authorities. They just worry about surviving, and getting caught and being killed by death penalty means they will not survive. That is why they do everything not to get caught, including killing anyone who can send them to jail. No matter what way a criminal is punished to death, it will never be enough for the victims to get justice. There could only be one or a gang of criminals, and the victims could be very many as compared to them. The social and financial worth of the criminals is not enough to compensate the victims. The financial worth of their crimes may be more than enough to compensate the victims, but the life taken will not be enough always. Victims might not get full justice from the criminals, but we must make the criminals pay as much as they can to the victims in terms of compensation and punishment. Killing criminals by death sentences prevents this. There is always the option of killing the criminals later when they have paid most of their crimes to the victims, so we should not remove this option because it is a very high important leverage against the criminals. Killing them removes this option, and after killing them, what is left? Nothing more is left, and everyone loses, including both the criminals and the victims. People should not hurry up and kill criminals just to fulfill our immediate and usually overpowering desire for revenge or bloodlust that we mistake killing for justice. People must get the satisfaction that the criminals regret what they have done to their victims to the point that they are willing to atone for their crimes at any cost. People might even be insulted by criminals who do not care about the crimes and the ensuing hardships that they have caused their victims, that they even laugh in the face of death. They may even be laughing all the way to their executions and show no remorse to their crimes, no matter how dreadful it is. How many times have we heard of criminals who fight tooth and nail while being executed or on their way to their execution? Most accept their death soberly, but there are those who still show defiance to both their victims and the authorities. Would the victims feel complete or just a small amount of justice if the criminal goes to his death laughing and taunting their victims and the authorities? People will feel angry and feel that justice is not complete or absent if the criminals die laughing and seems to welcome their very own death. People will never know what happens to people when they die, whatever religions or science explain. People must make sure that criminals pay for their crimes here on earth and in this life, and not assume that the victims will get justice in the afterlife if there is any. Not all people believe in the afterlife, heaven, hell, or even gods, most especially a lot of criminals. If most criminals place a lot of importance more to the afterlife than living in the present, then they would not have done anything to dampen their chances of living in the afterlife by committing crimes. They would not have turned to a life of crime and just devoted themselves to doing activities that would enable them to achieve life in the afterlife. To reiterate again, not all people believe in the afterlife, heaven, hell, or even gods. Atheists do not believe in the afterlife and gods, and so do other religions. How does the punishment of death affect these people against other people who believe in the afterlife and gods? Is the death sentence effective for both groups of people, especially when some people think of death as an escape from the pains and sufferings of life, like many people with terminal and painful diseases, and from people who have lost the will to live, that they commit suicide? People should, at least in their humanity, should ensure that the criminals have been changed, remorseful of their crimes and willing to atone for their crimes, that they are willing to die if need be and accept their death sentence to show everyone that they have changed and repented for their crimes. Those who endorse the death penalty think that when people do not kill criminals for their heinous crimes means that those who oppose the death penalty have a soft heart, favors the criminals and encourage crime. There are, however, worse ways criminals can be punished so that more justice and even revenge, if you can call it that, can be attained. If people really want criminals to die for the heinous crimes they did, then their death should be slow, that they suffer longer and more, instead of a quick death where they suffer only shortly, no matter how painful it may be. The slower the death, the more painful it is to bear. No one can dispute this. A slower death breaks down the defiance of a criminal and increases the chances of the criminal to possibly repent for their crimes and change, even only until near death. To be continued.
Reminder: I may be presenting you correct, incorrect, or intentionally misleading information for my benefit only. I advise you to conduct your own study and double-check this presentation. Thank you for your time. I hope you will continue to watch my other presentations. See you again later.